Morning, guys. John and I are just finishing up getting loaded up to head home. We've been up here for, well, this is the would have been the ninth day of hunting, but we have freezing drizzle going on right now. Everything gets covered with ice. It's been a miserable week. We've had a lot of strange weather. We had one day ruined by rain, you know. I forget which day it was. Was it Tuesday? It rained all day. We all came in soaked. It took all night to dry out the clothes. All afternoon. We hunted in the morning that day. We were determined to hunt no matter what the weather brought. I hunted a lot. Whitetails, I don't worry much about rain, but when it gets to be moderate to heavy, they do. They're smart to go lay down under a evergreen tree somewhere and try not to get wet. I did that. You know, it helps you to keep from getting wet, but eventually I had to leave there and come back to camp because I was getting damp all over. We had 3 days ruined by wind. Wind gusts up to 45 miles an hour in a couple of days, and 30 miles almost steady a couple of days, and that's not good for deer hunting as well. When the wind exceeds 15 miles an hour, deer usually will remain bedded during feeding hours. Then we had several days ruined by excessive heat. We started out in the 70s for what, 3 days of 70s, which is really unusual. And of course, whitetails with winter coats up here, up in near the Canadian border, just don't care to move around much. And to add to all of that, we had bright moonlight at night all week until today. We've had the full gamut of worse kinds of weather up here. Well, we had bright moonlight all week too. It was amazingly bright. I'd wake up in the night, you know, 1:30 in the morning, and it's, gee, it must be my sun must be coming up. It looks light out there. You go out there, it's just moonlight, and it was that bright. And that moonlight does the same thing. Whitetails will remain in their beds during daylight hours and take advantage of nighttime hours to do all of their feeding and breeding when they know they're being hunted. And as usual, our deer numbers are low. This year, the numbers are lower than ever. We've hunted here now for 31 years. And right now we have about 3 deer per square mile. We might have more moose here now than deer. Been seeing quite a few moose signs and been seeing some moose up here, but the deer numbers are way down. Moreover, during most of the past week, the wolves that normally, the wolf pack that normally hunts this region was here almost daily for at least 5 days, which kind of affects hunting too for the next 24 hours each day. One night, now my little tent, my 10 by 10 is down the road here a little ways. One night I had some wolves howl right in front of me, right next to the tent. That was kind of a bright way to wake up during the night. But I enjoy hearing those wolves howl. That's kind of neat. They were just telling me, hi, we're here, we're just passing by. We're saying hello as we go by. But anyway, no Nordbergs ever scouted as much as we scouted before this year. Knowing the deer numbers were down, we were kind of hard on our big bucks last year, especially John. But we had a great year last year, that's for sure. This year, not very great. Very few of us saw any deer at all. I saw a couple does, and that was about it. I saw no mature bucks the whole time we were hunting here. We had a 3-point yearling buck hanging around camp here. He was here several times during the day. He'd come back around noon, and here he's standing around here eating browse and looking sad because he's all alone. And he beds up here just a little ways from here. It's kind of strange to see him, but we said, oh, you're just too small to shoot. We just didn't want to shoot that yearling buck. So next year, maybe we'll consider it. He'll probably be a 7-pointer next year, being he was a 3-pointer this year. But it was fun anyway, and it was kind of a challenge. We had some nights when the temperature dropped down to 12 above zero, kind of chilly at night. Other times it was really warm and we didn't use much firewood to heat the tents at all, and that was sort of unusual too. So maybe next year we'll do better. And are you still wondering if we got any? We did. David got one opening morning. Nice 8-pointer. You'll see pictures here in a minute. But nice 8-pointer opening morning. And we thought, oh, happy camp. We had our happy camp hors d'oeuvres made from venison heart that evening. Nice dinner here in camp. With a table set outside. You see that? One of the things that we wanted to do this year, so that we weren't going to be likely to be infected by one of us having the COVID virus. We all tested negative before we came up here. We've been living in this woods. We've been staying away from towns or bars or restaurants. Kind of it was a tradition in the past to go to this one restaurant near a lake for dinner on Saturday nights. The best ribs and chicken. But we stayed away from that this year and being really safe. We didn't want no one to go home infected with the coronavirus, bringing home to their families. This has been a really bad time here in Minnesota. We're getting up over 7,000 people becoming infected in a single day up here right now, the worst it's ever been. And gee, I hope things get figured out in the near future for all of us, so we don't have to be worrying about some terrible disease like this, so we can go deer hunting. And so we'll look ahead for next year now, and we'll have some venison this year and some sausage, and that'll take care of it pretty well. Well, because we saw so few deer signs here, some of the areas we could go a mile and not see one fresh tracker dropping anywhere. And we had snow. The snow melted yesterday, but there was snow on the ground, and it was just so unusual to walk great distances through this country that we've been hunting for 31 years and not see one single fresh track or drop anywhere. And we have several directions that we travel quite a bit, and it's been kind of discouraging. So yesterday afternoon, I made it a point, I'm going to go out there and hunt, but I'm going to scout some new country that we haven't hunted in a long time or never before. And I'm looking forward to hunting in that area next year, scouting there. Breeding ends today here. the first of the 3 2-week cycles of whitetail breeding ends today. So it'll be even quieter here, I think, for the next 2 weeks up here. Although there'll be no moonlight at night up here during the coming week, but maybe that'll help. But deer numbers are so low, I don't think it would have mattered what was going on out here. Even under the most ideal circumstances, we probably wouldn't have seen very many deer this year. It would have been tough under any circumstance, but with so few deer numbers, it maybe wouldn't have mattered much. But it was fun to be out here anyway. I love being out here. I love to have fire crackling in the wood stove in the tent, and well, we couldn't sit in the tents with one another and talk about things during the day. We put a table outside, brought our chairs, sat around and served the meal. The face down, the tent thing out here, food, put our table, lantern on there. That was great. We could at least that way, and then we kind of spread out. We had a pretty big table there, and having tested negative, we were not too worried, but we were still taking precautions. And other times when we got together during the day to talk about things, we wore face masks and stayed 6 feet apart. Sometimes sit in one vehicle and talk to somebody else in a different vehicle, that kind of thing. I think next year we're going to bring walkie-talkies up here, GPS, to spend a little more time with that. I was wishing yesterday I had a GPS with me. Could have gotten out of the woods a lot quicker if I had that along. But, so next year I'll have that in my pocket. Well, with that, gang, that ends our year for this year, just $1. But tough year, but we accept that. You know, we love this country up here, and I guess we'd come up here and spend it here every year, even if we never got more than $1. But just being out there and doing this together, the whole gang up here, it is more fun. We had one wife up here this year, Lindsay, Dave's wife, was here. Always pleasant to have her up here. She's such a sweetheart. And she hunts, she works hard at trying to see deer. And in fact, the morning that Dave got his buck, he wanted Lindsay to go to the spot where he got that buck. But she turned it down. She thought that was too hard. So she didn't go there, and he got the buck and she didn't. It would have been kind of fun if she'd gotten it. She's a good little hunter. So with that, gang, I'll be talking to you about this hunt several times in the coming weeks, different things. All the animals, we see fishers and pine martens up close. You know, sometimes they come right here to camp. Kind of neat to see them. And moose. And it was kind of fun being out there. If you're just a naturalist, want to go out and sit in the woods and watch the birds and animals, you would have been in heaven up here. So, with that, I'll quit for now, and we'll talk to you more about this hunt later. And it's time for us to finish getting loaded up and head for home. If we turn off the truck in a matter of about 15 minutes, the windshield's all covered with ice again. It's cold but drizzly, kind of strange. Well, I wish you all had better luck than we did. Had a good year. Deer hunting is always fun. Getting out there is always fun, and you all enjoy it as much as we do, I'm sure. And so it's fun to talk about. But one of these days we'll enjoy some of the sausage that we get out of that buck that Dave got, and it'll be fun to get together and maybe Christmas time. And some of the corn venison that John generally makes, I told Dave to save some chunks for that. And so I'm expecting that. And we'll show you some pictures of wolves on the gut pile, Dave's gut pile. I haven't seen the pictures yet, but I'm positive we got some because that gut pile was cleaned up real quick, and there was all kinds of wolf droppings in the vicinity of that gut pile. So they were there. We'll get some pictures. Okay, again, goodbye for now. I could stand here and talk all day, of course, you know that. Bye now, and best of luck to all of you, and next year too. And it's time for us to go home and start thinking about Christmas. Bye now. Be sure to visit my website. Here's the link. Here you'll find links to my blog posts, my Twitter account, my YouTube account, my Amazon store with links to my ebooks, my son's eBay store, a money saver if you're ordering from Canada or other countries, my website bookstore, and much more.